I approach a lot of relationships when it comes to business and other things. So
that's major too, because a lot of people really don't know that sometimes relationships have seasons. And so, but even in those seasons, you still have to, like you said, be able to dissect whether or not that it is a relationship that can actually go the long haul. I think sometimes you can go into different relationships, meeting new people, business partners, and things like that. You hit it off, things are going well, you both are being benefiting from the relationship. But then somewhere along the way, it feels like there's a distance there, that there's a disconnect. And so you have to be able to review those relationships constantly to say, what am I gaining from this? What is benefiting me as a whole, benefiting my business, or what is the goal that we set out for initially? Is that still being carried out, or do we need to come back and regroup? So I think that's really important to know, that you have to sometimes evaluate your relationships again to see whether or not this person has outgrown you, or you've outgrown that person. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that now you're going on two different paths. So that's really good to be able to know. All right. So let's look at something else. One of the interviews that we talked about before, we talked on the concept of fear. And sort of in the beginning of the book as well, it opens up, actually it's the very first chapter, it opens up with Constance stating or sharing about one of her fears as it relates to relationships. And that's because she was older and she was still single. Do you believe that there's still hope out there for those people who are older and yet single?
Absolutely.
Okay. What brings that assurance? Give us some feedback. What brings that assurance?
Oh, because I was just saying, absolutely. Because as they say, there's somebody created out here for everybody. So I think instead of being so judgmental, people have got to learn to stop waiting for what they have imagined. And I'm not saying give up on the traits or characteristics that you expect, but you got to be open to meet someone different that you thought would never be somebody that you would date. Because that person could turn out to be your queen or your king. Just letting you know. And then that's just my opinion.
Okay. Mike, what you got to say about it? I already see the face. What you got to say?
I believe so. I believe there is somebody for everybody out there, no matter what the age is. As long as you stay to yourself, stay within yourself and not give up that hope, then yeah, you find somebody.
That's true. I think the key that both of you guys spoke on is the aspect of hope. And I'm glad you did use that word, because sometimes when you lose hope, it can make your vision to become dim. And so you'll begin to narrow down so much so to a point that you're just choosing to become with anybody. And they're not really adding value to you, and you're not really adding value to them. You guys are just existing. And so we know that that's the whole purpose of life, is to be lived. So why spend any moments of it just existing when you have an opportunity to actually explore something wonderful? Okay. So let's look at one more question, and then I think we're going to swap over a little bit. Okay. So when we talked about aspects of wisdom and things like that people have experienced, one of the characters had an opportunity to realize that they actually had people in their lives that could support them, both in deeds and in words. But for them, though, because they were in a situation where it felt like that they were sort of by themselves, it took a PBS commercial to actually remind them that they weren't alone. And for another one, it took another Jared commercial to actually do a slogan to help them to understand different things. If you had to make a particular slogan as it relates to marriage for people to actually know that it's something important to do, and that is, not necessarily dead in the water, because some people think, oh, marriage is dead in the water, what would that slogan be?
Marriage, it looks good on you.
All right, Mike. What's a slogan?
Pick a slogan, babe. Pick a slogan.
Pick a slogan that you think that you can that someone can learn from or hear, and it makes them think like, wow, I never really thought of marriage that way or a relationship that way or something like that. What is a fun one that you can do?
I have no idea.
I know. I know that was just an odd question, but they were just like, they sort of those slogans in that particular commercial for them
Stay
make
strong.
you said marriage stay strong.
Stay strong and keep the faith.
There you go. And you're gonna need both. You're gonna need your faith and your strength.
Amen.
So that's pretty cool. That's cool. That was just a fun, quirky question to throw out there for you guys. Okay, so I'll do one more real question, and then we'll go ahead and do like a conclusion of this particular segment. All right. So I read a quote the other day, and I'm actually going to look down and read it just to make sure I'm not saying it incorrectly. And it says that if your love isn't producing things such as safety, peace, and trust in your relationship, then it shouldn't be called love. Do you agree with that statement?
No,
Okay.
because love is going to provide all those things.
Okay.
All the one.
Okay.
Safety, trust, all of it. Because when you love someone, you become 100% open. Majority of the time. And when you are 100% open, you absolutely trust someone. And if danger is in there, you're going to run to them for safety. So, I mean, I don't agree with that. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Mike?
Could you repeat the question, please?
I can. It says, this is a quote that I read the other day. It says that if your love isn't producing things like safety, peace, and trust in your relationship, then it probably shouldn't be called love. Would you say that's that's what they're saying? That's what they're saying.
Oh, well, in that way, I misheard the question. Yeah, I agree with that statement.
That's what I'm looking at.
But I knew what you
But you're supposed to speak it. Yes, I agree with that because as I explained, all of that stuff earlier is love, and that's what that statement says.
You basically see everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, meet the Smallwoods.
That's why you're supposed to listen
Hey,
before you speak
I do listen. I'm an A-read. I got a lot to say.
all the time.
So, Mike, did you want to add anything to that, or you just like it's cool?
I don't think there's nothing else to add to it.
Okay. All right.